Hi everyone, I'm Bounty from Said with Love, and welcome back to A Year of Hearts, the second block. And I hope you all enjoyed having fun making block number one. So many people joined in. We've had almost 500, actually over 500 people join in for A Year of Hearts. So thank you everyone for joining in. So this month we are doing Home is Where the Heart Is. So this is our second month's block, and I just can't resist house blocks. Probably after heart blocks and star blocks, house blocks are my favorite. There are so many out there. So I've created this one, and the hearts are on the door and in the smoke of the chimney. So I thought that was kind of cute. So the instructions and the pattern will be available free to my subscribers for the first few days of the month. And then it's available in the online shop for just a small amount of dollars. And don't forget, if you're not in Australia, the price that's shown in the shop is in Australian dollars. And so when you check out and pay, you'll be paying in your currency. So it will do that. PayPal does that conversion for you. So for example, if you're in the United States and you're purchasing the block at some other point of the month, it says $5. It will automatically take off the GST, which is our sales tax component in Australia. So it will only be $4.55 or something like that. And then it will convert to your currency, so to US dollars, which I don't know, depending on how bad our Australian dollar is like about $3 or $2 or something. So not much. Anyway, let's get on to this month's block. Now, last month we talked about doing some raw edge applique, and a lot of you hadn't tried that before. So I hope you had a bit of fun learning something new and trying something different. And we were doing the raw edge applique with just a little zigzag stitch around the edge, just to sort of neaten off those edges so that there's no fraying when you wash the quilt or use it as you go along. So I don't know whether you can get up close. You can see, we've used just a tiny little zigzag stitch, and it just takes a little bit of time. Now, there were a few people who weren't quite sure about how to do that, so I've popped in a little video now to show you what I do for my little zigzag. So here are our cute little hearts. We've already attached them to the block with the fusible web. And what we're going to do now is just do this cute little zigzag stitch around the edges, because it's a raw edge. We don't want it to fray too much, and we want it to last a reasonable amount of time. So I've done this one here. Let me bring that up closer to the camera. So we're just going to do the other two. Now, the thing I find easiest is to actually start at the point. I've set my zigzag stitch up to be pretty small. As you can see, it's not very wide, and it's not super close together, but still close enough that that there's not going to be any fraying happening. So I'm going to come in and just work out where my start point's going to be. Now I've selected my zigzag stitch that starts on the left and zigzags out to the right. I just find it doesn't really matter, but it just depends on where you're going to start your needle point. So my needle point's going to start sort of about in here. Okay. So I'm just moving it so that the right-hand side stitch of my zigzag is going to come just on the right-hand side of my heart. And I'm going to try and keep it there. Now, it's got a little bit out of the way and my fabric isn't moving. I haven't got any stabilizer or anything underneath, so that would probably help a little bit. But I'm just going to reposition the foot every time it starts to get a little bit out. And when I reposition, I make sure my needle is in the right-hand side, so on the outside of the heart fabric. Reposition my fabric and just do a couple of small stitches. Just taking it nice and slow. erase. Now, if you've got a knee lifter, this is a fabulous time to use it. I actually do have a knee lifter, but I've got no idea where it is. So I'm just doing the old lifting the foot. Now I've got an automated computerized system, so me lifting the foot is by a button, but I could just as easily be going back and lifting up the foot behind here. And so now we've come around to the other side. I'm just going to continue on. Now, as we get closer to the bottom, I do want to stitch on that very bottom, so I'm going to stop right on the very edge and actually turn it right the way around so that I can get a good stitch on that very end. Now, I have a locking stitch on my computerized sewing machine, so I'm just going to do a locking stitch at the very end, but you don't have to worry about that. If you just make sure that you sew over the start of your zigzag stitch, you should be fine. So I'm going to cut that thread, and there's my second little heart that's done with all my zigzags around it. So I've got one more to do. Then I'm going to change thread, and I'm going to put some red thread in and do the zigzag around that one. And then this month, we're going to try something just a little bit different. It's still raw edge applique, and you still attach it to your project, to your block, the same way using some fusible web or fusible interfacing. But once you've attached your hearts to your block, we're then going to do some free motion or almost like drawing with our thread onto the edge of your heart block. Now, I did quite a few tests, so you can see that. Quite a few tests, and I did one in a coordinating thread, which I didn't really like. I then did some contrasting threads, and we had a bit of fun. And look, you're not going for perfection here, so it's not going to be amazing and wonderful unless your free motion quilting skills on your domestic machine is fantastic. However, I think it's kind of fun, and I probably liked this one the best, the little white one. I think I went about maybe 3 or 4 times around. So I'll just show you a little video of how to do it. Setting up your machine will depend on your particular machine. So let's have a look at the video. So this is the raw edge applique that we're talking about today. It's free motion, and it's like drawing with your sewing machine. There's a few different people that do this, and most people seem to use a black thread, but I thought that was a bit harsh and I couldn't lay my hands on any black thread. So I've gone for this sort of darkish blue, denim-y sort of blue colour, and it contrasts quite nicely with the pinks and things. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. As you can see, I've created a little scrap and I popped some little hearts on, and I was having a bit of a play. I tried some coordinating threads and I didn't really like that. I'd also check and make sure that your bobbin is the same as your top thread. This one I had left whatever bobbin was in there before, and you can just see the stitches aren't perfectly tensioned, and I can see a little bit of the bobbin thread coming up, so I didn't really like that. And I felt that the contrasting thread looked a bit better, and it is really a case of you're not just going to go once around the heart. You are definitely going to do at least 2, 3, maybe 4. I sort of found 3 was probably good, and it does. It looks like you're drawing, and it's not perfect. Sometimes you go over the edge. You're not going to be on that same line. So I thought I'd show you how I do it. On my machine, I have set it up to do free motion quilting, so I've actually had to change this plate. The Janome that I have, the 9450, has different plates, and the straight stitch plate is what is used for free motion quilting. I've put a different foot in. It's a little hopping foot, and it's got an open toe to it so I can see where I'm going. I hate not being able to see where I'm about to go. So I've got that in. I've changed my stitch to being the straight stitch but free motion quilting, and I have also removed the feed dogs. So the only thing that's going to be moving this fabric around, and therefore the stitching, is me. So it's going to be a little bit hard with this camera in the road, but I'll show you. Now, when I was talking about doing the little zigzag stitch that we did for the other raw edge applique, I started at the point and went around because I had a lot more control. This is much more like drawing, and I always draw my hearts from the top of the center. So I've got that sort of muscle memory, for want of a better word, of drawing hearts. So I'm hoping that's going to hold me in good stead. So I'm just going to drop the needle just in from the point of the heart, and this stitch does a little single stitch so I can pick up the bobbin thread. Now, for what we're doing on this raw edge applique, it's not really going to matter, but from a free motion quilting perspective, it's good to pick up your bobbin thread when you start. And I've got my hands, but I am going to put my little quilting gloves on just to give me a little bit more control. So they've got, little grippy bits. Because once I start, I'm not really going to move my hands very much because we, are just in this little spot. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to get up a little bit of speed. Oh, and the camera is really getting in the road for me. Oh, I just knocked the camera. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm just going to go around 2 and 3, might do 3. Trying to perhaps get a better picture of the heart. Might do 4. And then I'm going to come back to there. I'm just going to do a couple of stitches on the top of each other and cut thread. I'll get rid of my extra little bit of thread. And there we have my little free motion applique. Now, look, it's not perfect. It's very scrappy. I'm not sure I'm 100% liking it, but it's something different, and it's a different way to put a little bit of an accent onto the little appliques that we're using on our Year of Hearts block. So maybe have a go on your scrappy piece of fabric so that you can just sort of get a bit comfortable with the whole process. And setting up your machine for free motion quilting, that can take a little bit of time. You'll have to perhaps read your manual to make sure that you're setting it up correctly, but have a go. Look, life is all about trying different things and seeing whether we like them, seeing whether we don't. So I actually do quite like that one. So I'm now going to get my block out and do it on my block, and hopefully it looks okay. So I hope you go and try and have a go. Do it on some scrap fabric first, like I did. Pick a bit of scrap fabric, put some of your hearts on there, and have a bit of a go. As with any free motion quilting, it's practice, practice, practice. And I've got to say, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes progress. So I have then gone and done that on my block, on my heart block, and I played around with that contrasting thread on the little heart smoke coming out of the chimney. And then I did a white thread for my heart that was on the front door. Now, I'm not particularly enamored with that one, but I'm going to leave it because, as I said, practice makes progress, and it's something a bit different, and I haven't really done a lot of this before, so and it's something I've wanted to try. So that's what a year of hearts is all about. Having fun, making beautiful blocks, connecting with others. I hope you've joined our Facebook Sew Along and Quilting group and trying some slightly different things. So I can't wait to see your blocks. Comment below if you've got questions, or over in our Facebook and Sew Along group, and certainly I or somebody else in the group can answer some questions. Can't wait to see your blocks, and I can't wait to show you next month's block as well. So talk soon.